I'm unable to hear if you are speaking. Okay, fine. The next categories of functions are textual function or mathematical functions. Let's start with the mathematical functions like mathematical functions. So here the functions are rand, rand, rand between, and round, round up, round down, square root, and sine, pi, uh, logarithm, natural logarithm, and the log with a base 10, and log you can specify the base also, and then after sum, sum x, and then after, anyways, the sum x, these can be considered as part of statistical also, but fine, like I'm removing these things. So absolute, divide, that even, exponential, fact, int, exponent, even, divide, absolute. These are the mathematical functions that we have. So start sum x, one second. So the sum x or max x, those are comes under a category of a statistical functions. Let me cross check it. Average, fine. So those are not part of it. So these are the mathematical functions that we have, and now let me load the data. Okay, fine. So I'm creating a small table over here to work with some basic mathematical functions. So here And so I created some sample data over here. So here you can see the table that I created. Now the first function is round. The round is a function, round, round up, round down. You have three functions are there. Okay, you might there are some people from a SQL Server background also. There is a concept called floor and ceiling. Okay, the floor and ceiling is nothing but floor means it is going to give the previous integer, ceiling is going to give the next integer, and round means it is going to round to a specific number of digits for the given value. So here also the same concept, round means for n number of digits it is going to round. Okay, so here I am making another column. It can be applicable on a measure or a column, whatever. So round, here the round of, you need to provide for each number you want to make round. I want to make it on a C. There is a column called table 1 of C which contains the decimal values, and here I wanted to round it to a 3 digits. You can see it was rounded to 235 as it is a 3 digits, 3 digits came, and 7362, 736, 456 it was rounded. And if I want to round it to only one digit, so it's a 2, and as it is a 736, so you want it to round it to one digit, 7 it is represented, and 2 3 4 5 as it is one digit, and the next one is a 5 or greater than 5 I have, it is getting updated like it's a 5, and 123.5, so it was rounded to one digit. Like how many digits you want, you can mention it as a round. And then after, you have an option called round up. Round up, so here round up, so what it is going to do is number of away from a zero. Like if you want to round to a, like round up means it is going to round the integer to a next one, next integer. If it is 123.4 means it is going to make it to 124. So here round up to the one step level I am making. One second. You can see that it was round up to the next level, like 100 it is giving a 101, 39, 40, 23, 24, 123, 124, irrespective of whether the decimal point is greater than 5 or less than 5. Irrespective of that one, it is going to rounding up to the next none. And if you want to rounding to the down integer, if you want to get the integer part of that one, we have a round down function is there. New column, round down, and here the same thing, table 1 of C, and table 1 of C, and the next one is like 0 by I'm mentioning, so it is going to give that integer part of the given number. So that is what round down, that is what the functionality of a ceiling and a floor as part of your SQL server also. So round is going to round a specific number until a specific number of digits, Round up, it is going to round it to the next number. Round down, it is going to round it to the previous number. So those are the three functions that you have regarding the working with the decimal values for the number of decimals. And you need to make sure that rounding properly at a cube level. Okay, if you are not rounded properly at a cube level, and if you are trying like if you want to round it as part of Power BI level, at each and every place you need to modify it. Sometimes even if you modify it, it will not work out as the cube is sending decimal values. So if you want to round it at a cube level or at a model level, you need to take care of that rounding. So that will help you to do the repetition activities. Okay, if I round here, wherever I use in my Power BI, the rounded value will come. If I am not rounded here, if I use it 10 times in a visualization, in 10 places I need to change. So please take care of these things at a cube level only. The next, rand and a rand between. A rand is a function which is going to generate a random number between a 0 to 1. Between 0 to 1, if I want to generate some random number, rand, so it is going to generate between 0 to 1. You can see the description. Returns a random number greater than or equal to 0 or less than or equal to 1, like evenly distributed. Random numbers change on a recalculation. So whenever if I re-execute this one, automatically the values will be changed. Re-execution means like refresh it. Capture these values if you want. That will be more than fine. So I am refreshing that table. You can see the previous values are like 86279. Here the 41773, 1975, 4584. So the values are different. So rand is going to generate random numbers between a 0 to 1. For each refresh, it will be differentiated, like different data will come. That is what a rand. And a rand between, so in a rand you have a control between 0 to 1 only. It is going to generate a different random numbers. But if I wanted to generate random numbers between a specific numbers like 100 and 200 or 100 to 1000, I want to generate a random numbers. Okay, at that time you have a rand between function is there. Rand between, that it's a 100 and a 200 I am mentioning. Between these two numbers it is going to generate a random numbers. Now it is 102, 153. These different numbers with a different set of numbers. So it is going to generate a different set of random numbers for each and every refresh. Rand between is going to generate random numbers between two different numbers. That is what rand and rand between. And the next one is natural logarithm, log with a 10, log with a base n. So we have a logarithm functionality is there in even a SQL all the places. If you want to calculate the logs, you can use these functions. Here you have three options are there. Those are, one is logarithm with base e, logarithm with base 10, logarithm with base any. Even SQL Server also have the same functionalities, and here also we have the same functionalities. So here, if you want to calculate a logarithm of a given number, so here I am using a column called B, natural logarithm. So here, new column, f underscore ln. So ln returns a natural logarithm of a number. Natural logarithm is logarithm with base e. So you just need to provide the column table 1 of B. So log 100 base e, log 1000 base e, log 625 base e was calculated and it was returned. And if you want to calculate with base 10, f underscore log 10. So here, like table 1 of b, here what happened is logarithm for these values base 10 was calculated. 100 means a 2, 1000 means a 3, like 100 means 2, and 625 log to the base 10, it was calculated and returning some value. So this one with the base 10 it will be calculated. And sometimes I want a calculation with respect to base, with respect to, 1 second, so with respect to base any number. At that time we are going to calculate, we can use log function, f underscore log, which will allow you to provide a base value. I want to calculate with base 5 or 25. 25, 625 is going to return a 2, remaining are fine. So these are the three functions with the, like by using this you can calculate the logarithms. This is base e by default, base 10 by default. This you can specify the base value. Next one is square root and a pi and a sine. So here the square root, it is going to give the square root of a given number, like square root, I have a value, small value is there, yeah, square root I can perform for b, new column, here f underscore sqrt, like here square root of the given number, the table 1 of b. The square root will be performed for that b value, like 10 and 25 and 100. For 1000 it will be square root will be performed, and 100 it will be square root will be performed. Okay, so square root of a b it was performed and it returned the data. And similarly we have another function called pi, which is going to give the value of a 22 by 7. Instead of writing it 22 by 7, you can call that function, which will return the pi value. Pi, so it is going to return this value. So it is what a square root and a pi, and a sine, it is going to give the sign of a given number, the sign of a given number. So here I am making another column. I have a column called column 1 is there, which contains the negative values. Okay, so f underscore sine, so here sine of a column 1, what it is going to return? Returns a sign of a number, 1 if the number is positive, 0 for the number is 0, minus 1 if it is a negative. So we have a positive and negative values are there. So if it is a positive it is a 1, if it is a negative it needs to minus 1. Sign of a given number it is going to return. So the first and last values are negative, so it is going to return a minus 1, and remaining are positive 1. So if you want to identify whether it is a positive or negative, you can use the sign function. And at the same time we have an absolute function is there, which is going to give the absolute value of a given number irrespective of a sign, the positive value of a given number it will be showcased. So here absolute f underscore absolute, I'm specifying here the absolute of a given number. So it's the number called it's a column 1 we are using, which contains a negative value. So whenever you use this one, you are able to see all the positive values. So absolute function, what it is going to do is it is going to return the positive value of a given number. Though it is a negative value, it is going to return a positive value. One of the use case I used to consider this one is, so as part of report, it might be SSRS or whatever the report it is. Sometimes the negative values we are going to represent with a flags by using a KPIs. Like even SSAS KPIs I showcased, right? The flag and all those things will come. So negative values will be showcased with some background color or with some flag we are going to represent. But the value will be represented. The value will be represented with a positive value. I will showcase that I have a 300 as a negative value here as part of a report. What I will showcase is, what people want to showcase is, people don't want to showcase a minus 300. People want to showcase 300 in a red color, or people want to showcase a 300 as a down, or people want to showcase a 300 with a proper flag, one flag. So this flag or the down arrow, up arrow, whatever the flags that are there, we can get it. But how you can represent a value in a 300 which is a minus 300? I will use absolute function here to represent it as a positive, like a normal number, and as part of calculation of this flag, I will use the actual value called minus 300. So in that case I used to use this absolute function. This absolute function, it is going to give the positive value of a given number. Why you need to use the positive value of a given number means, for displaying purpose you can consider, at the time of display I want to represent it as a positive number, not a negative number. At the time I will create another measure and I will take a copy of the actual measure with absolute, so that will return always a positive. And this might have other use cases also based on your experience, but I used to use for this one most frequently. That is what absolute and a sign. The next one is fact. It is going to give a factorial of a given number. So A B C D, just a second, copy. Okay, here I calculated, like I created two tables. I created a table with two columns. Now the other function that I have one is fact, which is going to give the factorial of a given number. So the factorial of a given number. So table 2 of a, the fact. So it is going to calculate a factorial 4 into, like for a 4, 4 into 3 into 2, for a 3, 3 into 2, 2, 2 into 1, 1 is 1. So it is going to calculate the factorial of a given number. And similarly, divide. If you want to perform a division, you have a divide function in there. And here, divide. What it is saying is, bus safe divide function with ability to handle the divide by zero case. So yesterday, the day before yesterday, or previous scenarios, I used to say that, but whenever you are dividing by zero, whenever you are dividing by zero, it will throw an error. So here, so here, if the divide is a safe divide function, like whenever you wanted to divide something, if you wanted to replace a value, like if you want to provide a value, if there is a division by zero occurs, you can use this function. Or if you are good at is error or if functions, you can use that also. So here what is saying is, boss, what is the numerator? There is a column 1 is the numerator, and next the denominator is a. In the table 1 function, a is the denominator. Then after, if you are dividing with a value which contains a 0, then give a -1, I am saying. So for now, I don't have any zeros as part of it, that's why it is not written any -1. If there is any 0, on a fly if you are getting any 0, it is going to contain -1. So a by b we are dividing, if there is any division is going to occur with a denominator as a 0, that will be replaced with -1. That is what the divide function functionality. And next, and even, exponent and integer. Okay, so the even function, even, so that even function also rounding function, so it is going to round it to the nearest even number. Okay, so for that you can go to the table 1 of C, new column, even. So it is saying that returns the number rounded up to the nearest even integer. You can use this function for processing the items that can come into, like leave about the scenario. Like here it is another rounding function. If you want to round it to the nearest even number, you can round. So normally round up, round down, or round up or round down, it is going to round it to the nearest integer. It might be greater than or less than. But if you want to round it to a, you want to round it, but you want to get an even number at the time, you can use this one, table 1 of C. So you can see the C 102 40 24, 102 the nearest one, 40 the 24, and 124 the nearest like even numbers it was returned. And the next one is like exponent and integer. So integer function, into function, it rounds a number down to the nearest integer. So let's go there only, as I don't have any decimal values over here. I will use any one of the column. I will use this column, f underscore in. I don't think it's a proper thing. Rounds a number down to its nearest integer. That is what we are doing with the round up and round down. So ignore this function, but let me run it. F underscore in I am giving. So it's giving f underscore in, and I given it is given a 4, it's a 6, it's a 6 and a 4. So even though based on their definition it is going to round it to the nearest integer, means the nearest integer is a 7 here, the nearest integer is a 7 here, and here also nearest integer is a 5. Okay, so it worked as a round down only, there is no other functionality we are able to understand. So you can ignore this function. There are a lot of round functions are there. I already excluded some functions which you use is round, round up or round down. Okay, so that is what integer, you can ignore that one also, no need to consider in the list. Not exponent. So the next category is exponent. Returns e raised to the power of a given number, e to the power of n. If you want to calculate, you can. So I am using the column A only, table 2 of column A. So e to the power of 4, e to the power of 3, e to the power of 2, it was calculated. Whenever you are calculating the statistical calculations, people are saying data science, right? So once upon a time, people don't know why these log functions and all non unnecessary functions are available. Now you can use all these things as part of your data science. If you want to calculate e to the power of something, you can call this function by providing a parameter. That is what exponent function. So these are the functions which are available under the category of mathematical. Anyone has any questions up to here? Whatever I covered? Any questions?
Hello.
Yes.
In round and round down function,
Mm-hmm.
in the round function we mentioned to the 0, the value is only the display the only the value, not point values.
Mm.
And also same available in round down, as
Mm.
we mentioned.
Mm.
At the same time, in round function we mentioned to the 1 or 2.
Mm.
We display to the point something values 1 or 2 we
No,
mentioned.
let me like give a clear picture before to that. So round function, like round, round up, round down, all will deal with decimal values. First thing, the round function is going to round your number until a specific number of digits. That might be 0 digits, which is going to truncate your complete decimal value, or a 1 digit, or a 2 digit, or 3 digits based on your requirement. That is what round function functionality. The round up, round down has a capacity that what it is going to do is, it is not going to round, it is going to remove the complete decimal value. Okay, round up, round down, it is going to remove the complete decimal value. And round up means irrespective whether it is greater than 2, like that point is greater than 5 or 6 or 7 or less than 0.5, it won't consider anything. If it is a decimal value, if it is round up means next integer will be returned. Round up. Round down means previous integer will be returned. It has some nonsense here, that's why I mentioned a 0. Okay, so you need to consider only three things. One is, if for any decimal value, if you wanted to round it to a n number of digits, it might be 1, 2, 3 or a 0 also. Round can be used. Okay, so then after round up, thus I want to give the next integer. So what is the difference between a round and round up is, the round will consider whether the point, like after, let's consider a number 123.246. If I mention was up to 2 digits, I want to round. What it will check, is this value greater than 0.5 or not, greater than or equal to 0.5 or not. If yes, it is going to give only two numbers with a value called 5, it will give. It is less than 5, it is going to give only 2, 4. Or if I mention round off 0, which means bus remove this one also, I don't want anything. it is going to give 123. That is what round functionality. And round up, it don't care about whether you are greater than 5 or not. Automatically it will return 124. Round up is, I want, boss, I want to round this number but with the next number. So the next number is 124, it is going to give. Round down, it will not look for whether you are at 123.84 also, it won't care. It will tell you that boss, the before integer is 123. So this is going to return. So whenever you are working with round up or round down, it will not consider you are greater than 0.5, less than 0.5, but it is going to round it to the nearest integer. Round up means next integer, round down means previous integer. Previous integer or the same integer part, both are same here.
So yeah,
So
the mention of the round down is at 0. I complete. Okay, the
yeah.
room is there. And also is the rand function.
Mm.
We're not giving to the any value, but
Mm.
the value each and every refreshing the change the
Mm.
value.
It will refresh.
What is the use of that function?
If you want to generate a tokens, or if you want to generate a unique ID, or it's not a unique ID, the IDs are a little bit different. If you want to generate a random number, you can use that one. What if that the use case of that one? At this point of time, I'm not pretty sure to convey immediately. Okay,
Okay,
so I will give an update on that one.
okay.
Yeah, like in other programming languages, we used to use to generate a tokens on a fly, but I cannot like immediately that came into picture, but that is not the proper use case. As every refresh, the value is getting changed. Let me get back to you with that.
Srinivas, can you explain about date add function? Does it comes under the mathematical or how it is?
Date add will not come here. Like date add will come into picture as part of your time intelligence.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Date add function is going to add a specific interval. It might be year, it might be quarter, it might be month, it might be day, it might be hour, anything with the given reference date. Okay, for today's date, I want to see last 30 days of data. If you want to write a measure for the same, for today, I am removing minus 30 days. Or last 6 months data I want. From today, I am removing 6 months. I will mention that minus 6 of months. So with that, you can calculate 6 months back what is today.
Okay,
Or
can
30
you,
days back. Hmm.
yeah, go ahead.
Tell me, go ahead.
Yeah. If I wanted to see last week and last month, can we implement both at a time in date add function? Is it possible?
You can write. So that is based on the multiple aggregations. So like there are different ways to achieve that last 30 days, last 7 days. Mm, so here, the first thing is, first of all, let's consider a scenario. You have a date table is there till today. Till today, I have a date table, and I calculated a one measure on top of it. If you want to accomplish, if you want to accomplish last 7 days, what you are going to do? You don't need to do anything here. Simply calculate the sum, and whenever you are creating one bar chart, use that measure here. Use the dimension whatever you want, and provide a filter called bring the date column and mention that top 7 days. So this visualization always returns the top 7 days, which means the last 7 days of a data of your measure. If you want last 30 days, you can mention the same thing and mention that last 30 days. So automatically always it is going to showcase 30 days and 7 days with a normal sum measure or min measure or max measure, whatever it is, average measure. But sometimes you need to play with a different measures. You need to hold, like you are going to have a separate measure, or you need to showcase a different trend line on the day one requirement I showcased. Like 7 days one trend line, 30 days one trend line, or 1 month one trend line you need to showcase. If you want to showcase at that time, you need to have a separate measures to be calculated. At the time I will mention that was the date is less than 7, date less than 30. Like that we are going to mention the dates, and we are going to calculate different methods, and those methods will be used here. So we'll discuss these things as part of time intelligence, the scenarios and everything. Clear?
Okay, Srinath, clear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone has any questions on whatever I covered? Satish and Deepti, able to hear me?
Srinivas,
Yes. Karthik, go ahead.
can you please explain me once again even
So
function?
the even function is going to round to that the nearest even number. Okay.
That means
So yeah.
if it has having the even numbers only, then it will go on. If it has having the odd numbers, whatever, if it
No. See, the thing is, if you have even numbers, it will be rounded to even. Or
okay,
nearest even, it is going to round. If it is odd number, also it is going to round it to nearest even numbers. So
oh,
here you have 123 is there.
okay,
Okay, 123.1. It is going to add to the nearest integer 124.
okay, okay, okay,
So it will be added to the nearest even number. So irrespective of these things. So there are many rounding functions are there which are not useful at all, frankly speaking. Here,
okay,
like I already cut down some functions here, but unfortunately I added this function here. Okay, I need to
okay,
maintain a list from next time. So it is going to round it to a nearest integer, like nearest even number.
okay. Like this, we have same like odd function also is there.
Yes, we have odd function also.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Fine, fine. Thank you,
yeah,
Srinivas.
fine. So those are the mathematical functions that we have, and I hope no one has no more questions. I feel like 1 second. Okay, fine. These are the mathematical functions, and the next category is textual functions. Textual functions. So here, so before continuing further, once again I'm checking. Satish, able to hear me? And Deepti, I'm going to give the task. That's why I'm asking. Okay. If Deepti is speaking, I'm unable to hear. Make sure that your mics are working. Fine. So the next one is the textual functions. So textual functions, whenever you are working with the textual columns, you are going to use these functions, and here the functions are blank, code, concatenate, exact, find, fixed, left, len, upper, lower, left, len, upper, lower, right, mid, replace, mid, replace, repeat, search, substitute, trim, upper was done, and unique error and value. These are the functions that we have under the category of textual functions. Textual functions. Now here, let me reorder these things. The left, len, upper, lower, right. and a code uniquer okay fine. Yeah, these are the textual functions that we have. Now next one is sales data table. Let me truncate this table, reduce the table, not truncate. Okay fine. So here these are the basic functionalities, and the first one is the length function, which is going to calculate the length of a given number. And so you can, like, all the places it will be there, but the syntax also matter. Like in this scenario the syntax also same, like len is going to find the length of a given number, f underscore len length, like I'm giving that city name. So it is going to calculate the length of a given number and it is going to display the value. Number of characters it will be calculated. And similarly you have left function is there, so which is going to extract n number of characters from a left side, f underscore left. Here it is going to calculate the length of the left, like n number of characters from a left side. So here the city name of 3 so it is going to return the first 3 characters from a left side. And similarly right of a 3, which is going to return the right side 3 characters, last 3 characters it is going to return. Okay, so now that is what left and right. Similarly you have upper and lower functions are there, so which is going to convert your string into uppercase or lowercase based on your requirement. So I want to represent everything in uppercase. Everything in uppercase, or similarly if you want to represent anything you can represent in a lowercase. Okay, so that is what lowercase. So if you want to represent your value in upper or lower case, you can use the lower or upper functions. And if you want to extract n number of characters from left side, you can use left. If you want to get the characters from right side, you can use right. Number of characters, it is len. The next one is the blank function is going to give the blank value. So if I wanted to compare whether the value is blank or not, when I want to match is whatever the value that I am calculating is a blank or not, I can use a blank function. So blank is going to verify whether, like, it is going to generate a blank at this point of time. In this our context, the blank function is going to return a blank. Yesterday we saw, so empty table was calculated, so each value containing a null value which is nothing but a blank. And on fly at the time of methods calculation, you are going to compare is this value equal to blank, so we are going to verify. And is blank function we are going to use many places. As I conveyed yesterday, whenever you are calculating a sum measure, we are going to calculate in x and we are going to compare if is blank of, we are going to verify is blank of x, which means it is a blank, then replace 0, otherwise something. Our context is not is blank now. Blank is going to return a blank value, that's it. So code and a unique error. Code and a unique error, like one is going to return the code of a given character. The second one is return that character of a given code. So in SQL Server also we have the same functions. Like let's start with unique error. Unique error. So here new column unique error. So returns the Unicode character that referenced with a given numeric value. So first we need to start with a code then. So code function is going to return Unicode. So it returns that ASCII value of a given number. ASCII function is there in SQL Server, but here they are mentioning it as a Unicode. So whenever you provide a text or any like if you provide a city name or whatever, it is going to take the first character, and the first character relevant ASCII code will be returned. First character ASCII code will be returned, and like generally it is going to take a character, and for that character ASCII code it will be returned. And if you give a more than one character, the first character's Unicode or ASCII code will be returned. ASCII code for each and every value in your keyboard, you have a equivalent ASCII codes will be there. So that relevant number will be returned. So it is saying that for what, like it is giving our city name, like Mumbai, for M it is giving a 77, for Chennai it is giving a 67, for A it is a 65, that's why it is returning a 67. So it is returning that ASCII codes for the first characters in a city name. And next it is giving, next function is, you have a function called, this one is code, right? This one is code, next one is char, unique char. So here the new column, it is going to return the code, the column 3, it is going to take the code as input and returning the corresponding character. So it is returning. So for 86 it's a V, so it is giving a V. For 104 H, for 80 P. So here for the first character it returned a value, for that value we return a character again. So based on your requirement you can take the values. Okay, so that is what the Unicode and Unicare functionalities. Okay, so whenever we want to compare, see, understand a concept, I want to compare a value which is a single quote. I want to compare a single quote. I want to capture a single quote. At that time, how you are going to work with a single quote? Single quote, how you are going to represent, or how you are going to evaluate whether the value is a single quote or not, or how you are going to insert a single quote as part of your database table. At that scenarios, in order to bypass the initial validation, we are going to use this quotes concept. Okay, so you don't need to understand a big logic, you just need to understand a small logic, that create a one database table, create a one database table with employee name, with emp name, and in that employee name mention a value called 3 colon was. Mention this value. How you can mention, understand. Whenever you are inserting values, insert into table name values of. If you give like this, it is going to throw an error. But it will say that something is not a string. But I want to store a value called 3 colon was. How you can make it? Or I already have a value. How you can evaluate it? So 3 colon was value is there here. I want to retrieve that value. How you are going to write an expression to get that one? So in order to achieve these kind of functionalities, in order to pass the default initial validations, we are going to use that ANSI code or Unicode or Unicare functionality. I hope you are able to understand. Anyone has any questions here? Arpit, clear? Fine. So that is what Unicode and Unicare functionalities. The next one is concatenate. So concatenate is a function which is going to add two different values, like two textual values it is going to add. So concatenate you can add two values here. Here two values you can add, that I will mention it as a state name, state comma city. But whenever I am adding a city, I want to add some space. How I can add a space? Here you can represent. It is another concatenation operator with a string. So now I am going to get a new column with a state name underscore like a space city. If you want to represent something as multiple spaces will be recognized as a single space, I will mention like this. Okay. So a concatenate is going to take two values, two textual values, and is going to concatenate it. But as part of it, for us, we sorry, we have an AND operator is there, which can concatenate any number of strings. We don't require this function. This function can concatenate only two values, but with the help of AND, I can concatenate any number of values. So that's why in order to showcase that one, I used a concatenation operator, and I added this one. For that, I am added this complete one. This is nothing but an expression. Some text I added here, concatenated. The three values are concatenated here, showcased. That is what the concatenate functionality. And the next one is exact. So I'm stopping here. We'll continue from here in the next